Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star OS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 43. Any links, articles mentioned, you can go to intergalacticherald.com and look for news recap number 98. So just start out before the main content section, just again, some standard things. Again, looking to have some guests on the podcast. So if you're interested in coming on, either to be interviewed, say you're a Star OS content creator or a builder, or if you are looking just to hang out with another Star Atlas community member and talk about the week in review, I'd love to have you on the show if we can schedule a time. So please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the contact page, and just fill that out, and that'll get to me. Also, I do have two Star Atlas build projects that I'm working on. One is a merch store called intergalacticgear.com. If you go check that out. Right now, so far, it just has a merch survey looking to build up kind of some people that might be interested in both what they would like to buy and then eventually some people I can put on my email newsletter to send out either, what's coming down the line for new items for sale, maybe some discounts, things like that. Please fill that out. I really appreciate it. That's intergalacticgear.com. And then the second project I'm working on in the Star Atlas universe is what I'm calling a non-guild guild. So this is Intergalactic Coalition, intergalacticcoalition.com. So basically this is a place for people that are not interested in the traditional guild structure. Again, nothing wrong with guilds, but I'm just not interested in joining a guild. So I figured why not build up a community of people like myself that are just Star Atlas gamers, just want to hang out, talk about Star Atlas. Don't find the official Star Atlas Discord the best place, only because it's so many people and chat-based. So what I'm doing is putting together a community platform using a technology that allows for threaded discussions, email alerts, other things like that, so that we can chat that way basically at whatever time fits yours, but not these kind of more chat-based things. It is a paid community, or it will be a paid community, partly to offset the cost of the software, but also basically again, to pay for some of my time to moderate and set things up. So again, that's intergalacticcoalition.com. So let's get into the bulk of the content of this podcast, which is different content. I will note I am recording this on Saturday. I guess we'll call it Christmas Eve. So it's the past week, which was sort of the last week of the Star Atlas team being quote unquote in the studio, though I have a feeling they're a distributed team, so I guess we'll call it a virtual studio. So these are articles and announcements that came out in the last week, and so there may be less things coming up next week, but we'll kind of course, see. I think there might be some community things coming out. So first one I wanted to kind of chat on is last week's Metaverse Nomads interview. They actually interviewed, I think, either the founder or co-founder of Honeyland, which was, I didn't know what it was until I heard the interview. But anyways, they were doing that. Honeyland and Star Atlas are doing a collaboration within the Star Atlas labs where you can basically craft something in Honeyland. And as the person that was interviewed mentioned, so Honeyland's, I guess, more of a play to own as a play to earn. It is a crypto Web3 type game, but the whole wallet is kind of kept behind the scenes in their thing. Something about bees. I wasn't actually 100% sure what it was. I did put a note to go look at it, but I just haven't had time. And anyways, it was a very hard week trying to wrap up my business stuff to get ready for hopefully taking some time off between the holidays for myself. So it's on my to-do list. But anyways, it was really fascinating. If you're interested in learning more about that game community, definitely check out the Metaverse Nomads interview. I did find the 2 points, one I already mentioned that was really interesting was, again, how they're focusing more on a play-to-own model with the idea that the benefits of crypto and Web3 are you own your assets. Now, again, Star Atlas obviously has that component, but they were keeping for their onboarding as they bring people into the game that, you have a wallet, but you don't have to really worry about it. And again, they didn't go into a lot of details on all that, but that's fine. It was more of the collaboration. So anyway, so that was cool. One other thing I guess I should mention on the content coming up, and I guess I should always just mention this. So I don't consume the Star Atlas content in a linear order. As I try to digest all the content, I don't really get much of it done during the week, so I kind of catch up on Friday night when I put together the list of all the content, which goes out in my weekly news recap, i.e. intergalacticherald.com. Please sign up for my newsletter there. So some of these are maybe out of order if you wonder, well, why is he talking about the Atlas brew after the town hall or something like that? Well, again, it's just what suits my interest, what fits my schedule for listening. For example, I listened to the upcoming, or what I'll talk about, the town hall, walking the dogs one morning, which came the day before the Atlas brew, which I only listened to today. So anyway, again, this is not meant to be a chronological order. So it's just either when I found out about it, thought about it, wrote down some of my talking points that I go off of for this podcast. So again, just FYI that this isn't a chronological order. So anyway, so the next big content piece was the release of Sage 3D. So I think the team had mentioned that they were going to do this. This, again, was like an interim before the Sage Star-based, which was supposed to be the next version of Sage. And it was the idea that they were going to introduce some 3D views into Sage. It's still going to use the same, what are they calling it? Game ID. So again, everything is on the blockchain in one place, or at least that's the promise, that, your ship is your ship, but there's different ways to interact with it. So the UE5 part is different than the Sage part. Well, apparently the Sage 3D part is the same as the Sage Labs part. So you were able to do the same things, though they did mention at the outset that not all the commands that are in Sage Labs will exist in Sage 3D. So interesting, look cool. The one demo video, I forget where they showed. So I finally got a chance, I guess this was last weekend, I think, to fire it up. And I had already removed all my ships from Sage Labs, so I pulled one ship back, I was going to try to make it a fleet. So I got it into my Sage part of my wallet. However, none of my wallet transactions went through. So I can't remember if it started with moving it, but definitely forming a fleet, adding resources. Anyways, it just wasn't working for me, but everything was fine in Labs. So I'll admit I just quit. Now, I have heard perhaps those were initial bugs, which have then been fixed. But again, I just had some time. I think this was last weekend and just had no time this week. So I will give it one more shot, only because whatever bugs the team was going to fix, they probably have fixed them. And now that they're on winter break, they're probably not going to fix anything else. So who knows? But I did overhear on the Metaverse Nomads, one of the hosts mentioned that his wasn't working either. So I guess I just didn't want to spend any more time. So, but again, the team had said that if it doesn't work, you can always go back to lab. So I guess it's fine. But, and here's where there'll be a common thread to this podcast, kind of my, not necessarily ramblings, but kind of more my soapbox standing on saying, I just don't understand why you release something. Oh, that was the other thing. There was a post that the Sage 3D had known bugs, just warning everybody. And cool, but why releasing this right before the holidays? Now, again, technically probably a week has gone by, so I haven't tried it a second time. So maybe it's playable on my computer now. But again, it was something I was kind of thinking, this would be cool to take a look at and try out over the holidays. So again, hopefully they patch it. And again, maybe they have. I just haven't had time to look at it. So moving on, there is a StarOS Reddit subreddit. If you're not aware, I definitely would check that out. I guess there's lots of places, but it gets a little traction. A lot of content creators post their videos on there, and there's sometimes, still not a lot, of conversations. But I did find one that was popped up. Somebody was basically saying that there's so many taxes/fees for Star Atlas, and I think, don't quote me, in fact I didn't even put this in my rundown of recaps because it was just something, but I think they might have said they were a Star Atlas, or excuse me, a Star Citizen player, which again, nothing wrong with that, but again, coming quote unquote from outside the community. But I think they brought up some really good points, and I haven't really done enough to really understand, but I know when I was playing Sage Labs initially, I realized that I had a decent amount of Atlas in my wallet, but by the time I finally ended, there wasn't a lot left. And so, but the point the moderator there in the subreddit for Star Atlas was pointing out was, well, these are Solana fees, so they're not really taxes. The team isn't actually getting money. And he mentioned that the crafting fees are actually what are going to the DAO. Now, again, just not 100% sure. I haven't followed this close enough. I always was under the impression that, yeah, you pay for Solana, but it's pennies, so it doesn't really matter. But the Atlas did seem to add up. And I think, again, there was something about, well, you're really just creating rent accounts. Again, I don't know all my right terms on Solana and blockchains, but again, you would get some of it back. But regardless of all that, the details, even though it would be really cool to find out, like, how much does it actually cost to do all these things? I think the thing that really spurred it to me was, again, this seems to me like one of the downsides of blockchain gaming. I mean, no, Solana doesn't cost a lot, but it doesn't cost zero. And if you're playing Call of Duty or Starfield or whatever, doing things in the game does not cost anything. You buy the game, you get to play, maybe you buy a skin, whatever. And I guess I was just, again, realizing that, I mean, it's cool that, quote unquote, Star Atlas is on the blockchain, but why? I mean, or maybe I should say the gameplay. Why does it matter that the gameplay is on the blockchain? Now, I kind of feel like years ago, there was a talk, something about, well, when we get to the final game, we'll bundle transactions or something. And again, I don't even remember if I heard that right or whatever. But it does seem like kind of an maybe it's not even arbitrary, because I guess, again, if the game logic is on chain, if you're going to dock and undock and move and subwarp and mine and craft, those are all blockchain transactions. And yes, again, a couple cents or micro cents on Solana, but I'm kind of reminded, and I trying to remember where this came up. Oh, might date myself now. Office. No. Oh, what was the movie? Oh, it's gonna bug me. Office Space, classic movie, and they decide to. It was a class. It's how terrible it is working in cubicle offices. Anyways, they come up with this brilliant strategy to steal or divert the half a cent from rounding errors. Anyways, the point is, at the end of it, they make tens of thousands of dollars and probably going to go to jail, whatever, because those things add up over time. And I guess that's the thing I'm thinking, that even if a single Solana fee transaction is less than a penny, do it 100 times and now it's actually something. So I'm not necessarily against it, but I guess I'm starting to wonder, like, well, why? I mean, I get the cool part about owning your ships and resources and things like that, but if every single time we ever move or do anything, there's a cost, even if it's not zero. So, and the other thing I realized too is, again, there was the whole Atlas payer, where we're paying an Atlas and the Star Atlas team then transfers that to Solana for us, which, again, cool, and they make money off of it. So again, we want to keep money coming into Star Atlas team. Anyways, it just was interesting. An outsider, somebody who definitely has not been in the community for a while or at all, and noticing the difference there, because obviously I assume Star Citizen obviously doesn't work on a blockchain, hence there aren't the transactions. So again, it's not really criticism. It's just, again, I guess, looking at the choice of everything being on a blockchain. And again, maybe it's needed, but it still feels like it's an implementation choice, I would think. I could be wrong. Maybe it just, this is what you want to, this is what you have to do if you do blockchain gaming. Oh, okay, cool. But it would be nice to, I guess, really understand the total cost. Because I know when I moved that one ship back in to check out Sage 3D, it cost me like 200 Atlas. Now again, maybe I'm going to get all those back when I disband my fleet, but still. Okay, moving on. I guess it was last Tuesday, I think, Star Atlas had a town hall. So it was hosted by Michael Wagner, the CEO, and Santi, the community director. And they were just talking, kind of doing a year in review. I guess just one thing. It wasn't much different than an Atlas Brew. But again, I know the town halls in years past were these big events, but naming, but doesn't really matter. But again, it was basically a 1 hour thing. So we got definitely a lot of new information that came out. Again, they were kind of doing a year in review, where are we now and where we're going. So I think great topics to wrap up or end up the year. So, but there were some things. So one, the Honeyland collaboration was delayed. They didn't really say why, but okay, fine, no problem. Also unexpected, because I don't think anybody had heard or even thought about this, something called Sage Labs version 2 was announced. Again, nothing was ever spoken that I'm aware of this through official channels anyways. What was really interesting was that the map of the Sage Labs became a dynamic map. So it's going to show like ships where they are inside on the map. You can click on them, you can get their names, you can get their ship types, what they're doing, resources they're either having or whatever. So, and again, there was another community builder who had built a map that really helped with SDU scanning. So I thought this was really cool. I mean, looked really cool. So I think they alluded to that was going to be released almost right after the town hall. So, but the one thing that was kind of interesting is I sure thought I remember them saying that Sage Labs was sort of done, wasn't going to keep being developed. Now, I don't know if this is a change in goals because the Starbase is going to take longer. Again, we got Sage 3D, which, okay, cool. Now we got a version 2 of Sage Labs. It's fine. I mean, these are all interesting. So the other thing that mentioned was that the DAC platform was delayed, so there was speculation that it would be out by the end of the year. So that one definitely wasn't coming, or isn't coming this year. And then as they started talking about the next year, 2024, some of the things that were mentioned were definitely this showroom release 2.2 is the one they're actually going to focus on a mainstream audience. So they're not going to require game keys. It's going to be open to everyone. So that was kind of maybe that's been stated before, but again, this was official. So that was interesting. And it was also noted that the crew cards, which were announced at Breakpoint for first quarter 2024, are delayed along with the mobile app, and it kind of sounded like middle of the year. So quite a bit of delay from first quarter. And again, even the mobile app was being talked about earlier this year. So anyways, so that was a great town hall. It was nice to hear all the things. Again, if you're listening, you want to watch the whole thing and strongly encourage it, you can go onto the list at Intergalactic Herald News Recap number 92, and you can get that. Otherwise, they're also pretty sure there's a link to the TODR. Too long didn't read. Yeah. Sorry, I think that's community member named Beth who does that. So I think she has like a 3-minute summary. So either one of those you can check out. But again, lots of great content there. So moving on, at some point, the Sage Labs V2 came out. Again, it was really cool demo video showing where you could see all the ships and resources and that. However, following on a little bit on the Discord, apparently there were so many issues that they had to re-release version 1. Okay, I mean, I guess if the version doesn't work now, you go back to the other one. So again, we now have Sage Labs version 1, we have Sage Labs version 2, we have Sage 3D, so kind of cool, 3 different games or products all running on the same stuff, so kind of cool. But again, not ready for prime time. And they immediately had to re-release the version before. So moving on, next topic. So sometime this past week, again, a couple of weeks ago, it was announced in the Never Alone campaign that one of the things you could earn was Puri, a new pet in the game. This has definitely caused a lot of split within the community. Is it cute? Is it not? Again, personal preference. However, some community members decided to turn it into a meme coin called Puri. And I have to admit, this is just fascinating, partly because prior to joining Star Atlas, I was actually in a community that was focused around what they were calling creator coins. It was on the Rally Network, which has since gone defunct. So I was in a community that was for entrepreneurs that then decided this would be a great way to get into Web3 and crypto. And anyways, long story, because again, disappeared. But anyway, so I kind of ever so vaguely familiar with a community-driven coin. Now, I am not familiar with any of the meme coins that are out there, Doge and Bonk. I mean, again, this is way beyond my current understanding of anything related to crypto. My vague understanding, or my goal was to learn about crypto through Star Atlas, which I am indirectly learning. So it's really cool. So it's very interesting. I'm not following exactly what Puri coin is, how it's working. saw some posts on Twitter. They were going to give out it to I think it was 100 top Atlas holders or Impolis holders and some other. They had a whole bunch of criteria. And again, probably it's all changed by now too. But again, it was really fascinating because it was a community built thing, apparently with no input or direction from the Star Atlas team itself. But again, with the build program, it is Star Atlas's IP, but we can do whatever we want up until $1 million in revenue or something. Now, I guess the team could say not that, but sure. As of recording this, it's not been disowned by the team. I mean, sorry, it's been disowned by the team, but it hasn't been stopped by the team. So anyways, I'm just fascinated to see where this goes and kind of what. And I don't know. I think it's just fun. It's just something fun to do. So late in the week, the first economic change to the system came out. And as was mentioned, I think in 2 Atlas brews or last week's Atlas brew, that the econ team will vaguely announce a change is coming. So to kind of give people a heads up, but they won't announce what it is, and then they'll announce it, and then it'll happen. So apparently the big takeaway, though there were others, but I guess this is a big takeaway because it affects me, because I'm right now pretty much a faction fleet passive Star Atlas player, that they were going to change the missions rate to kind of start incentivizing people to leave Score faction fleet and move into Sage Labs. So they were dropping the Atlas earnings by a third, 33%. So I'm accepting it. I'm fine still. To me, using Sage is a time thing that I definitely last 2 weeks had zero time to move ships, to gain resources, to, I guess, sell them on the marketplace, because as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, I got my ship and my claims or land stake, and those were the things that were within my interest and time. And yeah, again, kind of mining resources without a long-term goal, just I don't have the time to do that. Even if there was some economic incentive within the marketplace to sell resources or crafted resources, as I'm pretty sure I mentioned before, I can spend another hour in my business and earn way more money than my fleet can do. So again, I'm a gamer. I want to play. I want to be engaged. I want to have fun. And Sage Labs in its current form is not fun to me. So, but on this Atlas fleet change, apparently it broke. Again, I'm getting to it, but you'll be noticing a pattern by the time we're done. So it didn't work. And there was some post in the Discord about, well, you can't really claim things now, but we'll get it fixed before we go on vacation. And again, you release an economic change to the functional part. I mean, Score faction fleet, is it 2 years? Yeah, I think it's 2 years old. Never changed. So 2 days before you guys all head out of the office, you make a change. Yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. This is a perfect thing you could have done in January. I mean, there's just no reason. Again, maybe there's an economic reason. I guess there is. Live YouTube I haven't listened to that came out, I think, Friday morning with Hologram News Network and Chris, the head of economics. So I'll if I have time, I'll listen to it. But I just can't really think of what was the economic reason to change this. I mean, I get the bigger picture one, but 2 days before you guys go on break. As of taping, I believe in the Star Atlas Discord, the announcement section, they have said that issue is fixed. But again, I don't know why this was even thought of being released a couple days before. And then the last major content thing, I did finally get around to listening to the Atlas Brew. So again, this is usually the one on Wednesday. So again, things are out of sequence in my talk because the economy change came out on Thursday. The Atlas Brew was on Wednesday. The town hall was on Tuesday. Don't remember when the Curie coin, Puri coin. Assuming I'm even saying that right. Puri? I'm going to go with Puri. Anyways, so the Star Atlas Brew was a great kind of end of the year one. They kind of talked a little bit about town hall, but what I found really interesting that isn't kind of a repeat of some of the other content was kind of the predictions from the three hosts. So again, Santi, Jose, and Dominic. And I think actually it was spot on that, looking forward, things that they're on. And I guess they're working on a roadmap to publish. Again, no dates, but just a roadmap. And I think that's great. It's whatever the last time we saw something, I'm sure it's completely outdated. I'm not even caught on dates, just orders of operation. I don't think Crew Cards was even on that mobile app, maybe. Anyways, but the two, and again, I think this is really where we're seeing the progression, getting over the financial issues with the FTX, the staffing reductions, and then the products that have come out but buggy this year, is two things. One is the new version of the showroom. So this version 2.2 is really been spoke. One, as again was mentioned at the town hall, that this is the one that's going to focus on the mainstream. No more codes. So obviously this will appeal to people in the Epic Games Store. Anybody can download it. That's a good point. Anyone can download it, right? They're not going to charge for that game. You'll just have to buy a ship, or you can probably play the free ship if I remember how it works. But anyway, so they're really focusing on that. And again, I think this is the version of the showroom that's going to have the features that appeal to a much wider audience. So again, there's been all the demos and work in progress of the racing components. And I forgot to mention they did still say that there's a UE5 version 2.1.9 still going to be out, quote, by the end of the year, but it could slip. So technically, as of taping, that has been answered. But again, just the way I work, content that's Friday night may or may not go into my recaps. I gotta, I'm not a breaking news person. I'm sorry. I'm analysis. I'm reflection on all the things that occurred. So at some point I just say news didn't happen and I'll catch it on the next recap. So, but anyways, I think again, this version of Showroom 1 is something that I think I mentioned a couple times. I tried to get into this game and bring my now college age son in, but Score, of course, wasn't a game, didn't at all have any of the mechanics that games he was playing at the time. Like, can't remember. I don't even know what he plays. It's 2 years ago. So whatever, again, the traditional AAA shooter or, PC game. Again, Score was never it. Sage is not it. Mobile app's not it. So again, I can say all I want, but there's nothing to hold, that age group into the current StarOS stuff. So, but, again, having the racing components potentially, and I've seen, again, they've shown videos that there might be a classic shooter type of thing, though I guess it's not first-person shooter, it's third-person shooter. True, but it's still a shooter. So shooter, racing, and potentially other related things. So yeah, that sounds much more mainstream with the crypto back end, whether you choose or not. So again, that does sound really interesting. And then someone also mentioned that they're actually really excited for the new version, which is Sage Star-based. Now, I'm completely forgetting what it's supposed to have other than star bases. I don't know if combat's in that one or not. I guess we'll see. It doesn't matter. But again, I do agree that, everything we've seen, this Sage 3D version 2, if again there is a showroom release, these are all incremental. They're obviously all beta, alpha, buggy, but they do show a natural progression of improvements. So if these two products are, again, maybe with the crew cards, maybe with the mobile app, again, we're seeing, I think, the whole vision finally. So I thought those are great predictions. Now, again, they're team members, so they probably know more than they're leading on, but hey, that's fine too. So anyways, so that's been kind of a date. So again, end of the year, they talked about 3 things they wanted to push out. One was the DAC platform, not going to happen. Another was Sage 3D, Rocky release, though they again warned that it had known bugs. And then this Sage Labs version 2 completely out of the blue, but again, buggy. And then new economy changes, again, buggy. The reason I say buggy is, and again, this will be the critical, constructive criticism, critical critique, is this expectation about dates. I just don't understand. Breakpoint, public presentation, crew cards, first quarter 2024. It's not going to happen. We're going to release 3 things by the end of the year. They're not, okay, 1 out of 3. I guess, again, the UE thing does come out, but I don't know if it's buggy or not. So I just don't get it for a community and a team that has a meme itself about 4 to 6 weeks. Why are we still saying dates? And I mean this seriously. Stop saying dates. If you can't hit a date, don't say it. And again, I'm fine with, hey, we're a week late. Nobody's going to do it. But I mean, you're pushing to get all this stuff out by the end of the year, and it wasn't ready for prime time. It wasn't even ready to run. And, we're rushing to try to go on break. Just go on break. Push this stuff out in January. Nobody's going to care. Anybody who's really into this, again, we're not being focused on the mainstream. So I would just stop saying dates. And again, when you say a date and then you push it off 6 more months, I just don't get it. But again, I don't know if this is a case of making sure people know, hey, they're developing things and they're going to get stuff out. And maybe I'm just being too serious about seeing a date, but I just don't understand. So there's my little rant, my soapbox, whatever. But to end on a positive note, in the end, we have short memories, and I don't mean that in a cynical or sarcasm. I'm excited for what's coming out. Hey, maybe the Sage 3D is going to work if I try it this weekend or next weekend when I'm off. Cool. The progression is there. The idea of building in the public, showing things. There's lots of great content that gets displayed in the foundation, which I can't talk about, but there's a lot there. This is still a very, very interesting project. The idea of a game, a metaverse, and an ecosystem. Again, it's all really great. And I think, to be honest, the big thing is I just don't have patience as a person. And the reason why is I got other things to do. And again, but I do. I got a business. I got a family. I got, just so much stress that is outside of my hobbies. And again, Star Atlas to me is a game. It is my hobby. And when somebody says, hey, we're going to have something out by the end of the year, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. And then it doesn't come out. Now, again, I'm not going to care about it in a month. It's not going to make me sell all my assets and go away. But I just don't understand. So I'll just have patience. So next year, again, when I hear dates, I've been around the block enough within the Star Atlas community, they'll be completely discounted and not even considered. It's okay. It doesn't change anything. I still am seeing progress in there. So again, I guess I just have to have patience, but it would really help me to have more patience if I don't think something's going to come when somebody says, because again, you say something, anyways, I don't want to get off because I'm not criticizing anyone or the team, but again, anyways, moving on. That's it. So the Star Atlas team is now on their winter holiday break. Apparently it's a full 2 weeks, so should not see much. Well, we shouldn't see any official news come out. It does sound like the community may be mentioning different things. I think already there's a interesting roundtable that some of the community leaders or guild leaders or content creators are putting out. So that's kind of cool. So I'll see if next week I have a video or a podcast or not. Again, it'll all depend on if there's anything to talk about, or it'll be really short if there's not a lot. So thanks for all that. Thanks for listening to my rant. Again, just to wrap up, again, if you're interested in any of the content mentioned, you can go to intergalactichero.com, look for the news recap 92. You get links to all that. Please sign up. You'll be probably pop up on the website, or you can look for the newsletter sign up there. And again, just wanted to point out if you're interested in engaging, supporting, being involved with a couple of my Star Atlas build projects. Again, looking to develop a merch store. Hope to make some progress this winter break, since I might have some free time. Go to intergalacticgear.com, fill out the merch survey there. Greatly appreciate your insight and any contact information you want to share for future. And then if you're a Star Atlas gamer, want to hang out with other people, don't want to join a guild, don't find the Star Atlas official Discord the best place to hang out and learn and talk, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com, fill out my interest survey there. Once I get enough people, I'll start communicating how I'd like to set up that community. So wrapping it up, again, hope you have, if you're celebrating, great holidays, New Year, all that stuff. And again, may or may not see you next week. So again, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.